Hello, everyone. I am Rhonda Anstead, and I'm really excited to be here today. And today we're going to be talking about one of the biggest topics that I have with my clients, and that is the whole concept of networking. And so I basically want to spend a little bit of time today helping you to reframe and rethink about networking and give you some strategies on how you can use these new concepts to help you find information, to help you make connections, and to help you find the job of your dreams. So basically, where I would like to start is the concept of networking. Research shows that networking is the most effective way of getting a job. My experience has indicated that networking is also a really good way of finding a job that you love, which I think is really important. And however, there is a conception of networking that turns a lot of people off. And that is that you have to be extroverted to do it. And it is a lot about selling yourself and making small talk and handing out business cards. And although that can be a part of networking, it is not the only way to do it. And it's not even the most effective way. So what I want to challenge you to do is to think, instead of networking, to think of building community, think of connecting with like-minded people, think of developing friendships. In the career design lingo and in my career design studio, networking is reframed as partnership building, but the main concept is the same, that we can do more together, and that we are social beings, and that when we are trying to get something done, it is usually more successful when we work with a partner, when we're part of a group or a community that that is wanting to do similar kinds of things. So the other aspect is that this concept of community building, relationship building, it is part of being human. This is not necessarily a skill that you need to learn how to build relationships, how to have friendships. We are hardwired to be social creatures. Now, some more than others. And what social means really depends on who you are. It's going to look different for an introvert rather than an extrovert. But this is not unnatural behavior. And so if you can start to reframe this concept of how I get a job is through my network to let me go to my friends and family for support in something that's important to me, and let me look for people who can support me in my desire to design and build a meaningful, exciting future, then that reframes it from something where you're asking for a favor to you are both asking for and offering support as a person, as a friend, as a community member. So the learned behavior is not how to network, how to make connections, how to make friends. It is how to be a little bit more strategic. And so first of all, it's really important to realize you already have a network. You're already a part of probably multiple communities. And it's really useful to start with where you are. You don't have to do anything different or special to get started with asking for your community to support you. They already are. Now, when I am talking about being strategic in your community building, what I'm really saying is that I want you to get clear about what it is that you want to learn, what it is that you want support in, who do you want that support from, and if there are gaps in your knowledge or your experience or your understanding of a certain thing, how do I get that? So in my career design studio, let me share my screen here. We walk you through this concept of partnership building in a very intentional and step-by-step way. So I want to show you how we do this in my career design studio, but you can do this with a pen and paper in your brain. So the first aspect is to get some clarity about the kinds of jobs that you are interested in. And so with my career design studio, first you start with who you are and what you want out of life. Those are your raw materials, and the napkin sketch is where you kind of start exploring and playing around with different kinds of jobs, keeping track of those jobs. And then in the my career design section, this is when you start turning your ideas into something much more concrete, into a plan and a strategy. And so it's really useful to start with a gap analysis. And basically what that is to understand, okay, this is the job that I want. And so let's take a look at what I did under teacher. So this is for an environmental specialist position. So I know the job requirements that I have. Here's what I need to obtain. Here's some ways that I can get that information. And now what are some questions that I have about this job? And you can also do that with, I also did that with mental health counselors. And so really focusing on what are some of the questions. I need a clinical supervisor. How do I get that? How much do they cost if I'm an independent counselor, rather a part of a medical team? So then when we go to the activity finding design partners, it pulls in the questions that you already have. And then a really great place to start is just thinking through, who do you already know? So let's talk about the mental health counselors. And so my friend Elena, she is a counselor, and she would probably have some ideas about where I could find a clinical supervisor. And so there's additional information that you can put in here, but all you really need to do is submit a name. And yay, I submitted this. So good job, me. Now then we go to the planning, partner building conversations. So this is the strategy. So again, you will see it has all of your questions here. And then it gives you a structure for building an agenda to have a strategic conversation. So you might want to have a counselor conversation, and then my name of my potential partner is not other, but is Elena. And so basically what this allows you to do is, if you're having an informational interview, then you can start with, I thank you for their time. And then you can spend up to 5 minutes talking about, what do you have in common, interest in psychology, etc. And then 2 or 3 of your most important questions. So you can just copy and paste those from up here. And then you want to ask for recommendations, And basically that is a really good structure for a 20-minute informational interviewing session. And so what I want you to think about is, number one, who do you already know that you can talk to? Then what kind of conversations can you have with them to help you along the way, to answer some of your questions, to get their advice? And the other thing that I would say is that you always want to have an ask. And what I mean by an ask is, would be the favor, would be the next step. And so, for example, you might want to ask Elena, do you have any recommendations for a clinical supervisor that I could talk to? Or where are some different strategies for getting that? You also might want to ask, is there anybody else that you recommend that I talk to? In fact, I suggest that that's something that you want to have in your back pocket with every kind of strategic conversation that you have within your community or with your potential design partners, is who else should I talk to? So that every single meeting or conversation that you have has the potential to lead to another one, to lead to another person. So it really is fairly straightforward. I'm going to stop sharing. In that you want to get clear about the information that you're looking for. You want to get clear about who can help you find that information. And then you want to have a really clear understanding of how you want to ask those conversations or for that information. So let's go to a pretty common idea that a lot of people have when they think about networking. And that is, I'm networking to find a job. So if I am networking with someone to find a job, then the question that I should ask is, do you know of any jobs? And that's a really difficult question for most people to answer. Most people aren't hiring managers, and so they don't have a job for you in their back pocket. The concept of a job is really, really vague. I could recommend, hey, yeah, my local grocery store, I saw that they're looking for cashiers, but you're really looking to be a mental health counselor or a teacher or a monitoring and evaluation specialist. That kind of information isn't going to help you, and it's going to make the person that you asked feel unappreciated. You asked for a job, I gave you a job lead, and now you're scoffing at it. But it also doesn't make the time that you spend with that person very useful. So basically the lessons learned, what we want to take away from this concept of community building is, number one, you already have a community. And number two, you want to be thoughtful and intentional about conversations with specific people within your community so that you are able to move forward in your dream of building your ideal job, and that you also give that person that you're talking to a sense of satisfaction that they were able to help, that they were able to make your life a little bit better. And that actually brings up another point that I think is really important, and that is that your goal doesn't need to be for everybody you think of to talk to you and have an informational interview or make some suggestions on what you can do. What you're really looking for are, innate helpers, people who get a sense of joy and meaning from being able to help other people. I call them advocates because they can advocate for you if you are looking to find a job in a specific organization. Then that person can talk to the hiring manager and say, hey, I talked to Susie and she said, I think that she would be great to bring in for an interview. And that's a way to get your foot in the door. So So often we are going to have to talk to people that we don't know. So we're going to want to expand our community. And especially if we're doing a job change and most of our, or a career change, and most of our community is kind of with the old career, and we don't have very many connections in the new field of interest. And so finding people on LinkedIn and reaching out to them can be a really effective way of growing your community, as long as you don't expect everyone to respond to you and everyone to respond positively. And I really see that process of expanding your community as a little bit like a treasure hunt. And so not under every single rock, you're not going to find the Easter egg. You're not going to find the pot of gold. It's going to take some effort. And so if you realize that the goal is not for everyone you talk to or reach out to respond to you, but the goal is to find the people that are excited to help you. And you know that the only way to find those people is to ask, hey, I would love some advice from you. I see that you're a mental health counselor and wanting to move into that field. Do you have some time to talk to me about 20 minutes to answer some of my questions, or give me some advice about a good way of going forward? And most people, honestly, are going to be like, I don't have time for that. I don't know who you are, and I'm going to ignore this request. And so that's going to be the average response. It doesn't matter, because there's going to be some people who are like, ooh, I love giving advice and I love talking about my experience. And I would love to help someone avoid some of the challenges that I faced when I was trying to get my foot in the door. Those are the people that are going to be the most helpful. And you will know that you found them when they respond and said, yep, I would love to talk to you. And so I think that kind of is the final point that I want to leave you with, is that as you're thinking of growing your community, know that it's going to take some time and effort, but that's the only way that you can find the people that'll really help you. And I keep saying this is the final point, but obviously I have many final points. So the absolute final point that I want to make is that this Facebook group, the My Career Design Studio Facebook group, is a part of your community, and that there are a lot of ways that you can use this. Now, most of the people here are in the same boat as you and are also looking for jobs. But that doesn't mean that you cannot use this group in ways that help you keep moving. And so a recent blog post that I on my website talks about the different ways that you can use your community and in helping with a job search. And some of it is just really simple, of feeling connected and not feeling isolated. And the job search is a really isolating kind of activity. And so to be able to check in with people who are in the same place as you are is really useful. You can share your stories, you can get support, you can ask for advice, you can brainstorm on different ideas that you have. How can I do this kind of thing? And so I really encourage you to kind of lean into our group and ask for the advice that, or the support that you're looking for. Sharing your stories, coming and seeing, we give little daily thoughts or challenges, and I want you to think about doing some of those and reporting back, so that we are helping you to continue to move forward in designing your future and building the life that you want to live, and that you see us not only as a resource, but also as a part of your community. So I look forward to hearing from you. And what I really encourage you to do is in the comments, just ask a question that you've been struggling with on your own, or share a story of triumph or defeat, so that you don't feel alone. So what is something that you can share with us, that you can ask for, that is clear, and that we might be able to help you with? And leave that in one of the comments below. So otherwise, keep on designing your future. And I look forward to seeing everybody next Thursday. All right, take care. Bye.